um, for the Rastafari reasoning. Last we had Daddy B, and it was requested that he does his presentation again, but this time around to help us determine the way forward and to add to the previous conversation. So this is more or less an addition to the previous presentation that the B had. So once again, before we go into the details, I would like to remind us that the purpose of the Rastafari reasoning is to discuss, to consult, and act together in focused exchanges of ideas, thoughts, views, knowledge, and to comment on specific problems and air considered views on best courses of action to follow in dealing with the world. More importantly, to come to terms with history, politics, economics, education, and etc. So we don't repeat past errors, and instead of always trying to catch up with the world, the Rastafari reasoning seeks to stimulate creative thinking. So tonight, our presenter is Daddy B, who we all know as Ahuma Bosco Okanse. He's the president of the Rastafari Council of Ghana and doubles up as the president or the chairman of the Rastafari Continental Council. He has been in the leadership position of the council since its inception, and he has led the movement towards several achievements. So without saying much, I'll invite Daddy B to take the stage. So my lord, please, your audience.
Rastafari.
Last year.
Greetings to ones and ones, and I give thanks for this opportunity to interact. I like to say that these sessions are very, very useful in helping us shape our thoughts, deliberate on issues, and then look at how Rastafari is engaging with the broader community as we all contribute to the development of I motherland and by extension, humanity. And today's session is on the development of Rastafari in Ghana and the way forward. And a few months ago, I had an engagement on this topic, and we covered various points, which include taking a look at the origins of Rastafari in Jamaica, the concept of the divinity of His Imperial Majesty, the development of Rastafari in Africa, and in particular in Ghana. And we paid special tribute to the likes of Big Dread and Co. for the role in the establishment of Rastafari or the development of Rastafari in Ghana. We also spoke about the development of the various mansions from EWF through to 12 Tribe and the arrival of the Bobo Shantis in Ghana. We also touched on some of the challenges facing Rastafari, the role of the Rastafari Council Ghana, and the work of the Rastafari Continental Council, and some recent developments within Rastafari. And I shared a few ideas on the way forward, some of which included spiritual alignment. How does our traditions and values as Africans, for example, libation, ancestral veneration, polygamy, etc., play out within Rastafari? And then the issue of welfare, social aspects like family and marriage. And this is even more pertinent now as we speak. Elder Jacko needs urgent surgery. And it's rather unfortunate that for someone who repatriated some years ago to have surgery in Africa will have to raise funds to support the brethren. And for me, these are some of the critical issues I have to address. The sick be nourished, infants cared for, aged protected, So welfare issues should be addressed as we move forward, not just within what you call it, Ghana here, but across the diaspora. Bear in mind that the population of Rastafari is aging. Another thing I believe we need to look at is youth development. And I mentioned that INA is looking forward to the work of Professor Onwadie and Seven Fireside and putting the curriculum together for the development of our youths. We can do this through various means, such as training camps, boot camps, etc. Health, very crucial thing as we're looking into the future of Rastafari. And that's why the health screening initiative came up during the 10th National Rastafari Conference. And going forward, I like to urge personal responsibility for I&I health while we think about the collective well-being of our community. And then in terms of the community and community development, we need to be looking at how to mentor the next generation, providing scholarships, and then running training programs to equip the youth with the necessary skills for the future. Another area we need to look at is effective governance. And in my last presentation, I touched on leadership development for effective leadership that can impact our community and the society at large. Another issue I mentioned in the last presentation was economic and political development and entrepreneurship and cooperatives will play a critical role in developing the economic potential of our nation. And cooperative initiatives like the Rastafari Farming and Marketing Society are welcome interventions by the council. I also like to share some good news today that shareholders of the Black Star Line Cooperative Credit Union held a meeting on how to revive the credit union. In my last presentation, I also spoke about science, technology, and culture. Egypt has been said to be the bastion of science and technology. And indeed, African culture is the root of all cultures, with values of sharing, respect for the environment, and our heritage. And I believe that going forward, I need to pay critical attention to issues of science and technology. The last point I mentioned in the last presentation was how we can improve our engagement with the sixth region of the African Union. And in this regard, we're looking at how we can contribute to African unity through our engagements with the sixth region. On that occasion, I concluded that as I trod in this 21st century, and I need to anticipate the next 100 years of Rastafari. Indeed, come November 2nd, 2030, which is barely 5 years from today, Rastafari will mark 100 years of the movement, and we need to take stock of where the movement is coming from and where we're heading. On that occasion, I postulated 3 questions. First was, will we continue as an amorphous group of people, or we will introduce some organization into our work? I also queried if we will attempt to synthesize the diverse strands of Rastafari teachings to present one or some uniformity anchored in the teachings of His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie. And finally, how do we ensure the development of our movement devoid of other subversive agents like CIA and stuff like that? So today, I'd like to build on the previous presentation on the topic and address or raise issues like African values vis-a-vis the Judeo-Christian background of Rastafari, the intersection of African indigenous knowledge and technology, the role of AI, artificial intelligence, in our movement, and the current geopolitics and other factors that ultimately or inevitably will shape the future of Rastafari. As we're speaking, the US has joined the Israeli attack on Iran. And I like to hear what Virgin and Sistrin believe will be like the impact of this latest development in the what you call it arena of international aggression. So first, let me mention African values and the Judeo-Christian background of Rastafari. In Ghana, and indeed across the continent, INA is integrating indigenous spirituality with Rastafari, as we know, with emphasis on the Black God concept and divinity of INI rooted in what INI believe as West Africans. And here, let me mention that one of the titles of Otikokosu Dasantini is Nyamikesie. So the thought of Haile Selassie as being divine is not alien to our African traditions. Another thing I like to mention as we move forward is Pan-Africanism and the fight against neocolonialism. And for us in Ghana, I always say that we occupy a special role or position, being the first African country south of the Sahara to attain independence, and also being a great inspiration to the civil rights movements in the US. And I believe that this political consciousness remains vital for Rastafari in Ghana diaspora. And I have to consistently step up and ensure a presence and impact. Indeed, during the recent march in support of Burkina Faso and Captain Traore, it was positive to see Virgin and Sistrin from across the African continent holding the Rastafari Council Ghana banner. Now, going forward there's something I like to touch on: indigenous knowledge and technology within the body of Rastafari. And I emphasize liberty, which is our natural and holistic lifestyle. And I believe that this harmonizes with the indigenous knowledge systems in Ghana. If you look at the various tribes, we all possess vast indigenous knowledge systems. And I encourage Rastafari to harness this indigenous knowledge system within Rastafari. And I believe this can be integrated with technology to enhance the cultural preservation and cultural and community empowerment. And with the likes of Professor Imotepa Lagidede, I must be able to tap into this huge reservoir of knowledge. Another thing is, I believe these educational series will play a crucial role in tapping into the indigenous knowledge system of Africa. Now, I like to also touch on a few things like AI, artificial intelligence. His Majesty Kidemawi encourages I to take advantage of the benefits of modern civilization. And as we're speaking, Ghana's national AI strategy aims to position the country as the AI hub of Africa over the next 3 years. And so I believe the Rastafari communities must leverage this for cultural documentation, education, advocacy, blending tradition with cutting edge technology to shape our future. And to do this, there are certain dangers against, or there are certain dangers that AI poses to our culture. And I'll just mention a few of them: cultural misrepresentation and loss of authenticity, because the AI is like, or the systems is like an open playing field. And the other time I saw AI generated images of Bob Marley and Captain Thomas Sankara. And the danger is that this can distort history, because people can fabricate all sorts of images and messages using AI. As we speak, there was this British BBC article that spoke about what what is happening with Traore and the way people are generating AI messages and all those things to, as it were, exaggerate some of the positives the man is doing. Another danger is a conflict with African values, because AI emphasizes individuality and I emphasize communality. And I think another danger is, Rastafari culture has been transmitted orally over the years. And with AI, we risk losing what you call it, the oral component of broadcasting I culture. Now, for the way forward, cannabis legislation and economic empowerment is another thing I like I to reflect on. I has been at the forefront of the cannabis crusade from time immemorial. And now that there appears to be some positive developments in that space, we should be mindful not to be left on the peripheries, and we need to mobilize effectively to play a key role. There's a huge opportunity to tap into the hemp production business, and so we need to pay close attention to that space. We also have to continue the advocacy work for the total removal of the prohibition of cannabis, so that eventually we can leverage the immense medicinal and economic potentials that abound there. Two last things I like to say for now: reggae music and social activism. There's been debates as to whether reggae is exclusively Rastafari, or Rastafari has a certain monopoly on reggae. It goes without saying that reggae has been the vehicle that has played a crucial role in promoting Rastafari and I values. And I believe that going forward, we need to continue to leverage that vehicle, amongst other things, for social activism. Down the years, through apartheid and all that time, Reggae was at the forefront of the anti-apartheid crusade, and it's also a powerful tool for political activism and social justice. Recently, the Rastafari Council Ghana partnered with Africa Unite Sound System to support Ras Shiloh in an initiative to provide resources for the Cape Coast School of the Deaf and Blind. And I believe this is an example of the initiatives I can engage in. The last thing I like to talk about is the diaspora connections and the geopolitical context in which we find ourselves. Like I mentioned at the start, we have attacked Iran. The US has jumped in. Before this meeting, I saw online that Iran is appealing to Russia and China to come to their aid. Folks are saying that these are some of the opportunities that the North Koreans are looking for. So I believe these developments will have a certain impact on Africa, and I like to hear what ones and ones are saying. And then Ghana being a favored destination for the African diaspora, it means I have a key role to play. And so, brothers and sisters, following from the initial engagement on the development of Rastafari in Ghana and the way forward, these are some thoughts I believe, in addition to the ones I shared earlier, we can discuss as we look at what the next 100 years holds for Rastafari. Give thanks. At this point, I'd like to take a pause, and then if there are any questions, interventions, suggestions, and contributions, Raskofi, we can take them. Give thanks.
Rastafari. We give thanks, my Lord, for the powerful presentation addressing major issues of concern to the community. At this stage, we invite comments, questions, in addition to what the presenter, Daddy B, have shared. My Lord, with regards to membership, diaspora membership, especially Ghanaians in the diaspora, my observation is that RCG currently is enjoying some huge support from our Ghanaians in the diaspora, Rastafari Ghanaians in the diaspora. And moving forward, how can we formalize the relationship, or should I say, give a focus to Rastafari, especially Ghanaians abroad, regarding their membership in RCG, especially basing on the kind of support we've received for those current members who are in the diaspora? How can we formalize, have a relationship with Ghanaians, Rastafari in the diaspora, create a membership platform where they can all be part of, and not only that, but help with the committee work? Give thanks, my Lord.
So this is a question, and I'll invite ones and ones to participate in unpacking it. How can we enhance our work with our brethren and sisters in the diaspora? Give thanks.
Give thanks, my Lord. So we invite your contributions, your questions. As we've heard the presentation from Daddy B. So please, anyone can come in. Give thanks.
I have this is Sadia. My first concern or comment is that whenever I know that, you know, when I started practice or saw Rastafari, the idea was that Rastafari is an individual worshiper, or Rastafari is an individual conception. However, we're trying to organize. So we have various mansions, various ideologies, various conception philosophies. I think that when we gather like this and we want to talk about Rastafari as a collective, first we have to look at what is Rastafari as the framework for reference. And so, you know, that is first and foremost, what is Rastafari as the framework for reference? As in, you know, His Imperial Majesty is the Black King, and then what? You know, defending African culture. What does that look like? So I think we have to look at that to minimize divisions and, you know, stuff like that. So that's my first comment. Observation. Yeah, Island.
Give thanks. So, since, like Moses said, this was a continuation of the earlier presentation, I didn't want to go into some of the things that we had discussed already. That's why I just gave the highlights and said something about the origins of Rastafari. So there's the assumption that once in this meeting or in this reasoning, we're on the same page when it comes to what Rastafari is and the framework for reference. Give thanks.
Daddy Bosco, I think if you give a brief summary of it, it would be great. Not all of us were in the other presentation. So for continuity purposes, and those that were not there, it can help.
So in the last presentation, I advanced that Rastafari started in Jamaica in the 30s, influenced by Ethiopianism and the Back to Africa movement. And I'd mentioned the influence of the Gonguru Maharaj, Leonard Howell, and the fact that basically Rastafari is a position against the white imperialism of their theology. So I mentioned today that for I and I, what we hold is that, what you call it, when you look at the concept of God, whereas most people are looking at God as white, we echo Marcus Garvey's sentiments when he said we should look at our creator within our spectacles. And then I also mentioned that His Majesty, as the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, is the manifestation of the Most High. Now, I believe all Rastafari mansions attest to this. What sort of divides, or the thinking that divides, has to do with diet, has to do with the role of what you call it, Caucasians in the movement and things like that. But I believe that all Rastafari adhere to the divinity of His Majesty. So in a brief, that is what I'll say. Give thanks.
Thank you.
Yes, give thanks, Empress. I want to contribute to that bit of the conversation. Initially, when no, I will not say initially, but when I joined the council at the stage, we were caught up with this definition because most of the mansions define Rastafari based on what the mansions have projected over the years. We thought it wise that in order to have a common grounds. We'll go with, for instance, the criteria for membership in RCG is a Rastafari is one who has the dignity last explaining. So in order to be so carried away with one of the definition of the mansions, or like you said, to prevent the division that the mansions, their definitions comes with, the council decided to go with the criteria which says that a Rastafari is one who acknowledges the divinity of Rastafari. So per the council, this is how a Rastafari is defined. Maybe from your background, we can add up. The definition can be broadened, but in order to prevent the divisions, this is what we have worked with, and this is what we have included in the Constitution so far. Give thanks.
Thanks, Ras Kofi. So, and that's fine. I just think that it's great for clarity. So when we clarify those, and I don't have access to the Constitution. I think even, by I don't think I'm just on the platform. I don't even think I'm a member, if you want to go by legalities, because I didn't pay dues, I don't know anything. I don't have constitution or framework which we operate. So, I just come to learn and participate as fast as all right. So yeah, if we have access to constitution and all of that, and then it will help, right? For a frame of reference, because one of our, I think mention was that in addition to His Majesty being, reference as God for the Rastafari, another thing is something for the liberation and fighting against imperialism, and stuff like that, colonialism. And those are some of our other bases as well. First is Majesty, and then second is to see us, fighting against imperialism and liberation of Africa. I think that one is very crucial, and that should be also in our framework. So those two are what I feel like is very strong, because then it can bring divisions if we don't know where we're going, as those kind of things.
So that point is also stated, and Royal, I'll suggest that you share the Constitution on the platform so the ones can access it. Give thanks.
Yes, my lord, I'll do that. Moreover, there has been calls for a real look at our Constitution, and so we give thanks for the input, and we hope to incorporate some of these concerns so that maybe the amendment may factor in some of these things that we did not add from start. And so, my lord, I'll share like you have recommended, but most importantly, we'll recommend Empress and anybody here joining us to, if possible, register officially with the council, assume a membership position, because most of you are most of you contribute a lot to the council, and having you as former members to go a long way to give you the platform to bring your whatever you have on the table to help the building of the council. And so we'll encourage your membership, and I'll share the Constitution like commended. We are still taking comments, questions, and contribution from Daddy V's presentation. So anybody with another comment, question, suggestion can share. Give thanks.
Something that I didn't mention on the way forward is the exclusively Black or exclusively African position of Rastafari vis-a-vis the global position of Rastafari. And by this, what I mean is initially, Rastafari was exclusively black. I clearly remember back in the day, no white man can go Bobo Hill. But as we're speaking, there's white people up on the hill, apart from 12 tribes of Israel, which initially had that open door policy. It seems as if the entire movement is shifting from an exclusively a black thing to a global thing. And I don't know if ones and ones would like to share any thoughts on that. Give thanks. Also, I've had extensive reasonings with Seven Fireside on the issue of AI. So, Seven, I'd like to invite the I to share a few thoughts on the AI and any things peeking into the crystal ball. Give thanks.
Rastafari. Are they come true?
Yes, my lord.
Yes. Please forgive her. Monday makes some moves right now, so you go hear some noise. I will just talk small and then back out so that man go fit man go to distract too much. Yeah, as far as the AI, I think say one thing will be important. Say we first start to think about it like it be our own way we to think about things. We, the world go through different cycles, but wherever they go come back to the way that we be. So these are approximations, right? So right now you have AI been moving in a direction where soon you go think about something where you go feel happen, right? Already some people they do things like that, like people where they be like they don't function. Some of them, maybe some of us have heard about people where they don't fit turn on the light. So their mind, they maybe they put a chip in their head or some other feature around them where if they think of make the light come on, the light will come on, right? These are the things where ancestors they do, right? But now it's coming through a more physicalist kind of channel. And as time to go on, I think so people will start to, I mean, there are a lot of people, a lot of physicists and let's say AI theorists, where they talk about how, they see this whole thing like it's not just physical sciences where they happen, right? If you look at the underlying principles, it be things where it be ancient spirituality, where this thing they approximate, where be the most side to do something, things that go through cycles, deviate, and then come back to the actual principle. So that's what in mind to try to talk. We say we for look into ourselves and look at the way we be, right? AI for the most part, it be how we be, where they approximate. Of course, we can have another discussion as far as, is AI going to take over? Is AI leading us astray? I mean, that'd be I appreciate the thing you say about how AI could feel misinformed. Things are real, right? But if we understand, say, the way we be, right, the way we choose to be what AI go reflect, then we go take more seriously how we check our thinking. So I'll go just cut quickly and talk about the earlier we're talking about was Rastafari, for instance. You know, Empress Sadia, what you saying be crucial, about black liberation. A little bit I go feel I be say, when we think about black and all this is AI they pick, this is like conversations they have, AI go fit learn from it. We understand that. Because anything put online, AI, somebody go fit open AI up to go learn what we do. So if we watch the things we say and the things we do and the things we think, because what do they think be what you go to say? And what you say go determine your behavior, your conceptual behavior. So back to the thing, if I go think of African liberation, I'm going to think of them as step 2 from Selassie. If I've asked myself, how did Selassie approach African liberation? Rather than say, yeah, I check out Selassie, and then next one I go check African liberation. The next one I go check out African dance, and then African. No, let's just take it like, how does Selassie see all these things? Selassie in life is documented. It makes sure say every fact there's so much that Selassie document, where it's sometimes unbelievable the things he tackled, right? And make sure they be documented. So we have to get in the mode of study, before be interested in knowing, because there's so much to learn from Selassie. It's not enough to just say, oh, I know Selassie be divine. We all acknowledge it because Empress Sadia, I know where you're going with that. I think I know where you're going. There's some gaps in the way we understand these things, right? And these gaps, AI go pick up too and elaborate. So if you go to ChatGPT and ask what is Rastafari, you go, yeah, people they tell you all sorts of things. That's what people they make up stuff about what His Majesty be, what Rastafari be. But for you and I, what Rastafari be King Selassie. We don't need anything else. Because if it's the knowledge of Rastafari, all day there, all day Selassie, right? So the thing I think about, we say, if we go freestyle if we say be Rastafari, it be Selassie. We know for just think say be some isolated. Sometimes we talk about Selassie like some isolated thing or situation, one place like this is Selassie, and then there's other things, right? But what if we hold it like if we look closely? Let's look at it closely. Close readings of Selassie. We go see say all these questions we deal with, they're fold in there. They just sit in there. So another thing too, will help us. We say this is the thing about AI and all these developed African liberation, everything. Let's stop going through these things through the words. Let's be going through these things through the meanings, right? Sometimes we hear AI, so we take artificial intelligence and we start to use that to probe the issue. Forget that. Let's start saying that what is AI really before we come to the language, the terms that they use. Because of course, the people coining these terms, they don't have our interests. Right? They're doing this at heart. Or they don't have to. They're doing their own thing. Most of them are tech guys who are trying to make money or something, right? But we have to ask ourselves, what is this thing really? Because I think most of us are caught in this trap of what they say it is what we chase. We say it is, and we go around in circles, and then themselves say this is nonsense, and we step by which we say is nonsense, or it's this, or it's changed. We thought it was this. We're just following them around. But let's stop and ask ourselves, what is AI to us? Away from the words and the things they're using. What is African liberation to us? Away from all the words we've heard people use. What would our ancient ancestors say about African liberation? You realize that it frees us up to tap into ourselves. But if you go follow their language, African liberation, we'll get into these situations where, I'll just link it directly to this problem we're facing right now of can white people be Rasta, right? We're caught up in semantics, right? Why should I be wasting my time worrying about what should white people be Rasta? It's a waste of time for me. I know Rasta be Selassie. That's it. If the white guy that come around where he say be Rasta, I don't know what that means. I don't for waste too much time on that. That's what I'm trying to go with that. So simple. I'm just trying to say that a lot of it comes back to us. If we say AI, what do we mean by that? We shouldn't let someone define it over there. Yeah, I was trying to bring up this point with some of our Adrian. We should, even our courses where we're studying in school, right? We should stop taking the meanings where they give us. Because if we track trends in all the fields of study, you just see say the meanings they change. People are questioning what their fields of study be, right? It's not enough to know what the field be. But I think Africans will be the first, so we reject their meaning. So at least we be very critical of their meanings. And I think that'd be where we just stop a little bit, we just follow what is already there. And that is not us. The real us be people where we just stand up and we smoke some tampi or something, or you stand up and breathe some fresh air and you say, this is what I mean, or this is what I think this is. So that's why I want to think about these progressions we're making. Otherwise, we'll just be following things that are happening. Because this Israel thing America joined, we can follow what the world is saying and doing and be all confused. But what does Selassie do with Israel? For instance, I know I'm digressing, I'm going back and forth. But if you look at what Selassie did with Israel, Ethiopia have a long-term relationship with Israel, right? Falasha Jews, all that, So we know, say, they have at least 1,000 years of relationships, of a relationship, right? His Majesty was not in a hurry to break things up with Israel when things were getting bad and African leaders were saying, no, we can't deal with them. Selassie was trying to talk to Israel. He was talking to that woman there who was the prime minister steadily. Tell him, say, no, you can't do it like this, right? And then they were not listening. What did His Majesty do? His Majesty stepped away from it. He broke their relations with them, So things like that. I think all this, if we tap into who Selassie be, it go help us look at it. So right now, if this thing that happened right now, we know where we stand as Africans versus now before we go figure it out. So I know I'm touching a lot of things at once, a lot of loose ends, and I know the brethren and sisters, or our sister go help us tie the loose ends. But these are some things I want to put out there. Like, let's tap more into our meanings, as Rasta people, and the meaning is Selassie. If we can look at Selassie and read Selassie, not just in terms of books, but through the books or the texts, the printed stuff that he talk about and the things he do, we go fit see our way forward. So I'm gonna keep it there. Bless.
Give thanks. Ras 7, fire. I agree with everything you said. I think you nailed it on the head. So yes, that's exactly what I was saying as well. So the point of reference being His Majesty just leads us to the direction of where we're going. And I'm just saying we should study that so that we are on a unified front. I know one quote His Majesty had made was that we Ethiopians consider ourselves of only one race alone, the African race. We would deliberate in all her affairs and fight any wars in her interest. Something like that, he said. So that becomes a point of reference as well. So everything you said is just what I was meaning. So yes,
Thank you.
That's just, yes, thank you.
And I want to thank you for what you're doing too, and I noticed that there was a little moment a while back, there was some exchange, and you threw in something very beautiful where you were actually saying that, when you're hearing people kind of like dilly-dallying around the whole thing about militancy, African unity, and people having questions about revolutionary moves and Burkina and Sahel thing, and you step in and you're like, wait a minute, this thing is about us. This is about blackness. This is about black unity. Because there's some people who sound like, oh, this is not a business. Like people who make coups and all that and all that. And I think we need to tighten those spots, and be clear in our minds. If we know what Selassie do. We all know what Selassie do. Selassie, the king of peace, right? But we all know, say Selassie, Selassie no stand there, go have conference with Mussolini. Selassie no say, we could go do peace and love with the South Africa people, right? We all know about Mandela coming and give them gun, right? So if we say Selassie with the role with, and some of I and I, they talk like, say, hey, we're trying to protect our democracy in Ghana, and they're not aware of what this thing be. So what the matter be, say, we fulfill those gaps too. It's not important to say, oh, you're ignorant or you don't. No, quickly we fill those gaps. It's not enough. I think it's counterproductive to keep saying, oh, peace and love. Let's all get together too, because it ruins things. If we just say, oh, peace and love, we all have to talk decorum and things. Yeah, we all are. We can be very diplomatic, but if people are coming up with some of these ideas and we don't say this is not the way, we shut it down and tell let's all get together and study a thing and come, like Sister Linda say, let's try to be on one page. And to be on one page, one same page, we have to study. We have to share the knowledge. So maybe as a matter of principle, what happens? Say the gaps go there. There be things I'm not aware of, blind spots, ignorant of. If I'm talking you go fit jump in and say, hey, Sister, you go fit jump in and say, hey, I see you don't know this. Then you fill the gap for me, or tell me, go check this out. Right? We need that versus peace and love. I see that happening on the platform. When some brethren get heated and they're trying to defend something in a certain way, then I hear someone say, "Oh, we gotta be, we gotta deal with peace and love and with decorous and all that." I think I understand that because we want some order, but it's not productive. We have to rather fill in the gaps. Tell someone, look, check this out. Someone has to put in there, look, you are not aware of this. So check it out. I would accept it it would be uncomfortable if I'm on the roll. But if you stop me and say, hey, look, man, it's obvious that you don't know that this is how the thing to go. So look at this. I have to sit down and help myself and check it out. That's all I'm trying to say. So I'm speaking to what Sister did a while back when she stepped in and said, hey, what was our bearing? What are we dealing with? Are we going to sit around and talk about is in violence or non-violence and all these kinds of things? Or are we just going to go through and do these things that we're supposed to do? So that the youngsters don't have to come and start afresh and be wondering what this is about. We have to live it up. like as a matter of principle, automatic support for the AES, automatic support for people who are trying to break free anywhere, Black people. Like Fernando said, we support all revolts, including failed revolts, rather than, oh, this one was a smart one and they succeeded, so we check it for that, but these people failed over here, so we know. No, every little effort is valuable, and then we build on it. So that's what my little bit, like working together, I think, say, we for to fill the gaps more than talking about just peace and love. Let's find a way to get along, because it doesn't lead anywhere. And then not condemning and rejecting each other outright. Of course, if someone is trying to being too hard-headed in their way be problematic, we first shut them off. If it means shutting them, cutting links, I don't have a problem with that. But yeah, that's my position. So though, and yeah, I'd love to hear what brethren and sistren have to say.
Give thanks, Ras. I trust we've heard a lot in response, so we can also share our views on what Ras is saying. But Adibi, you mentioned the question of cannabis legalization, abolishing cannabis, whether or not, and advised the need to explore the hemp market. And I notice sometimes the advocacy committee, sometimes in terms of membership and the work we have to do, sometimes we do not have the strength to engage really, because we are just a committee made up of 2, 3, or 4 few ones and a few on the front line. So there are some of the things that we ought to do to complement what the state is doing and other things, but mostly we are not able to. So at what stage, Daddy B, do you think RCG as a body can take some positions on the cannabis conversation and spearhead it without limiting it to the committee that sometimes is handicapped with membership and what we can do? Give thanks, my Lord.
Give thanks. So one of the things we need to do is seek out like-minded organizations that are engaged in advocacy, because we cannot go it alone. The council cannot go it alone. We need to seek out these alignments. I know that there's been some involvement with there is this organization that does advocacy for cannabis and things, and I think 2 years ago they went to Atimpoku and organized a workshop with some of the youths there, and Akrisi Sapon was the resource person. So what the council can do in the face of the human resource handicap we don't have enough boots on the ground, would be to seek these NGOs and then work with them and continue to issue statements as we've been doing. Beyond that, what we have to do is look at the regulations they've put forward for people who are interested in getting a license to do the hemp business. And then from there, we can explore what it takes to engage in the enterprise. I hope that addresses your concern.
Daddy B, can I ask a quick question?
Yes, King.
Yes, that it be. So, you be the economics marketing guru up in here, right? Man want make a request. I think I wanted to do with you, behind the scenes, but maybe we can just put it out there because I know you're already thinking about it. I think we're gonna run into a lot of roadblocks when these things like this come up. It's already the indications that we're going through this when it comes to dues, when it comes to the cooperative, the money thing, right? We're making right now. We said we're gonna get licensed. I don't know if there's money for that. If there's money for that, great. Well, if there's no money for that, it can become somewhere we're sitting around where we're asking people, "Hey, everybody, bring something. We could go buy this thing." All these things are not supposed to be happening if we move like, okay, money is something where the organization gonna need, right? Some people go say, let's set up something where we did do to make money. That's one thing. But I think so we've also take a cue from how organizations work in the world, right? These big universities, whatever. They go for money. They ask for money from where there's money. People have money. There are people with money who want to use the money for meaningful things, right? For black things. People where they make lots of money. Some billionaires who want to do stuff where they go say, I'm involved in this important thing. So that'd be why I want to ask you, say, can we make it an integral part of our program to always be like building relationships with people who have money in that, writing letters, building relationships, staying in touch with them so that when now let's say now we're talking about getting the licenses. It's not be now where we could go out text saying, oh yeah, we don't have enough money so people for chip in, we could go back get it. This is cooperative what they do. We're gonna say, okay, people have contributed a little bit, but we need money to, cross the finish line with it. Hey, we want to reach out to you, Mr. So and so, whatever one be named. Yeah, we do. They'll be happy to do it if we build those relationships. But I think the problem with them, they act like say maybe we think we are not credible enough or we're not yet there. See, I think if we see the RCG as a high level diplomatic institution, that'd be you're one of the most diplomatic people I've ever seen, I've ever interacted with. You can go anywhere, you know that, right? And I did want to ask you if you use your skills to communicate with people who have the money. Not when we say resources, we go think of other things, but just the money part. So we go have these things in place so that when we're moving on something, we don't be having all these stop and go kind of thing. With the moving is that because of money, this thing stall. Because of money, we have a problem. You know, I know it's not as easy as I'm making it sound, but I have a lot of confidence that if we start making it like a cornerstone of how we function, some of us go say, let's get rid of the money economy. Once it's here and we're a body, we have to look for those who are inclined to do with this money thing and let those people work in that area. You see what I mean? So that'd be, what do you think about what I'm saying? You writing letters, like with the intention, not just for particular projects, but with the intention of trying to create, like, what's the word to use? Like a place where we have the money, right? It's there, it's sitting there, right? And we're always reaching out to people to the point where we could not say at the end of the year, these are the 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people we reach out to with they put in this amount of money. They're happy to do it. It's not like we're hustling them to do it. They're happy to do it. We're happy to have the money and we're working, What do you think about such an arrangement, Manche?
Give thanks. Actually, that is the way to go if you want to build an organization that can be sustainable. You will need persons or organizations that are inclined to doing this sort of work. So, yes, we will pursue that. We will give thanks.
I want to add my voice to what Seven Fire said. Today is just like 100% agreement. Everything like Ras that you're saying, and you see, whatever we have to do is action. We have to always have a direction where we're going and take action. And that's how we can see things happening. So in addition to what Ras7I is saying, 7 Fire is saying, is my idea is we can look for ways to write grants, or we can look for writers amongst us, so we can write grants to organizations that support this initiative, so that they can give us sponsorship and monetary aid for us to go on to this journey. We have to go and look for the money. It's a lot of individuals who have money and capacity in Ghana, even Ghana alone, that also partake in this our holy sacrament. And if we approach people we know and we ask them to support, we can. So fundraising initiatives is what we have to learn how to do, and also use the money where we raise it, use it for the purposes that we raise the money for, and we can go forward. So we have to be brainstorming and doing and going. I have to say that the world should have given credit to Rastafari for promoting cannabis, marijuana. The world should give us credit because we are the ones that suffer the most in advocating for it. And one other aspect of Rastafari is that we are advocates. We advocate for a lot of things. But now look, now they have taken the credit. They have, from what the work we have done, advocating for its uses. Now the world has taken the credit and they are making money, and we are sitting here. So here, those of us who live here in North America, go to every corner of where you live. What do you see? Shaman shop. A shaman shop is there. They are farming it, cultivating it, and selling it. In certain states here in America, people have the license to carry it. I know people who have license to carry a certain amount and to grow a certain amount. But this is the work that we started and advocating for. Other people are enjoying it. We are still sitting where we are, you know? So we have to do the work, find the funds. And again, like I had once said, it ties to decriminalizing us, Rastafari in Ghana, with the police force and, you know, how they arrest us anyhow and, you know, frame us and all of that. We have to look into those areas as well. In addition to, you know, going for the license, we should be cultivating right now. So everything 7 I said, I agree with, and that's my contribution to that as well. That's my
Rastafari.
contribution. Yeah.
Rastafari.
Rastafari.
Yes, Nana, me pacho mama membre mukakra. Abeg.
Bacho you here.
Selassie, give thanks. I have a few contributions and I have a question. I'll start with a question. Can a black African person be a Jew? And I'm using Jew to mean Jew, as we know it today. Anybody have the answer for me? All right.
When Stephen was talking, he was mentioning the Falasha Jews.
That's what I'm saying. Falasha Jews, that's what I'm saying, sir, in the context that we know it today. So, well, yes, we can consider the Falasha Jews. But young for more Moshe Sadi and more I have not seen one that is black. I've seen some black people who have married into Jewish families. I've never seen them that themselves Jewish. I see them clearly define that they are married to Jewish people. Can a white person be Rastafari? I will leave it to all of us to figure out. But let's be guided by just regular reasoning, right? And let's also consider this. Every single black organization there will be, there's a white representation in there. Go to the African Union. They have seats for Israel, for Germany, for every other nation under the earth that you know that's not black. Everyone. Not faith, Rastafari, so. There's going to be a, you know, I'm just saying, some of these things, they're very, you're kind of saying, it's very dicey to discuss because you may easily be misconstrued. But what I'm saying is that it's okay for white people to agree to the principles of Rastafari without necessarily being identified as Rastafari. I think so. Otherwise, I'm open to education. If Rastafari is some type of movement where I had a discussion with Same Seven Fireside the other day about this character called Joe Slovo in the South African, liberation struggle. Now, I did Joe Slovo, as a white person. There are lots of black people who cannot hold the mirror to him for his contribution to the struggle, and he's white, right? But then, does that make Joe Slovo a black person? He is sympathetic. He has common sense. There are lots of people who are not black, but who see the essence of the liberation struggle. I feel like we can definitely align and ally with such forces in our quest for liberation, rather than force to have share. To say Ghana, for instance, you were Chinese now you see no hene. It's all those mistakes now you see na yes men consam and pom na bosom becho na say moti abecho no. As say China ni fini chrome ababe bulldozy then crowd say becho and bulldozy ato and then you make it on top of that. Your own culture, this is what I'm saying. So let's reserve some things for ourselves more. You see that town in South Africa, which is in Africa, but they're asking black people not to come there. So certain things, let's reserve it for ourselves more. If there are people who identify with us, who understand our pain and our struggle, yes, they're welcome. There's a seat for them at the table. But does that make them us? I'm just saying, and I don't claim to have the answer to that. I'm just saying it's something that we all can think about. Now, let me talk a little bit about AI. 7, I will need a lot of education from you about AI because I personally do not see that thing called AI crowd. And again, I'm ignorant. I'm open to education. This is my experience with AI. First of all, artificial. I have natural intelligence. Why do I need artificial intelligence? I am open to education. Again, my actual, you're kind of saying, contact with AI is that I go online, I'm trying to get something, I buy something using this AI thing, thinking the AI is the thing that's going to protect me. And you know what AI did? AI sold the thing to me for about 300 times the price and kept charging me every month. You know how many calls I had to place to the bank to stop that nonsense? So what is AI? How does it fit in our culture? A culture that breeds natural intelligence. So again, I'm saying I'm open to education, but I personally am not a huge fan of AI. Also, when you consider the fact that this AI threatens, listen, through AI, somebody can detonate a bomb. Somebody was making a very important point on a show I was watching the other day. And he said this, war crimes are becoming harder to prosecute. You know why? Because somebody can use a drone to drop a bomb on somebody. Back in the day, they'll be like, oh yeah, this person did it, and this person fired a shot, and this person dropped the grenade, and so you can identify them. Now somebody's hiding in some bunker somewhere, controls a drone that drops a massive bomb that kills hundreds of people. So I need some education on AI. Give thanks.
Prof. Prof. Wiro, I think you have to answer this question.
Rasta, I think I'm gonna I didn't listen.
But Prof, to ask you more directly, how do your students use AI?
So this is the thing. There is first of all, if they are using it for research, right? Like that is seen by the university as acceptable, but they cannot use it, for instance, to type their papers, right? So they will have to, like, if you use by what I mean by research is like if you're asking AI to identify some articles on a certain topic, you know, you can do that, but at the same time, you are the person who has to sit down and you know, put your research questions together and craft your own document. Because once it is found that you use AI in crafting your responses, then that goes against academic integrity. Yeah.
And I have to add to Raswiro. Raswiro, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but they have software that some professors can use to detect where you plagiarize or you didn't write your paper, and then they can flag you, and then you'll be in trouble. So for the purposes of research and enhancing your information, yes, you can use AI, but AI cannot write your paper for you. So they have I've forgotten the name of the software where if you put it there, you will surprise. It will go and fish out everywhere you went and got your information from. That will show you that you didn't write the paper. Rice, right? What do you say to that?
Yeah. Some professors are doing that, that is true.
I'd love to add to say the AI go fit suggest titles, books, quotes. You go fit quotes and everything where all they hallucinate. You go fit give you something where no the book self no day. So it shows that we for put more energy into learning ourselves, So AI go fit tell you, say, okay, this is your thing, these are the books you for go read. But maybe quite a few of those books don't even exist.
Natural intelligence, me say.
Absolutely. So Russ, Jabilove, man is not trying to say let's be fascinated with this thing. I'm not trying to go there at all. I'm not impressed by AI, if you ask me. Like I started by saying, say for me, the core be how ancestors they deal with everything where they exist. And that's what this thing they try to approximate. That's how I read it. Right? I'm not trying to say there's some wonderful thing that's happening. It's not that impressive for me.
No, everything is good for what it's good for. Everything
Exactly. So we just have to see. But still, it's problem. I'm just saying it's problematic. It can be problematic if you rely on it, like Porfirio just to say. Even let's think about how it hallucinate. It fit to doing your own thing. I do some research with it, and I read a document, and I wanted it to cite something related to it, and it keeps going back to the document and giving me quotes from that document that I had, where those quotes no data thing inside, which means that, like, if I never read that document myself, I go to things that they tell me, the things they sound like what the writer, the author himself write. But those are nothing like that. Days about. I told her, stop giving me these. This is Chat GPT. And say, yeah, I don't need these things. Don't make up stuff. Don't give me, anything other than the actual statements from the essence.
Don't you think it's also making us lazier?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because you remember when we used to make photocopies of the Emperor wears no clothes and stuff like that?
Yeah.
You borrow the book and make a photocopy and read.
Yeah.
But now you don't have to do that. They have things that deliver pizza to your house and stuff like that. I was saying the other day, I would never, so I went for a test drive, right? And then the guy put me in this guy said, oh, this guy is self-driving. You can put it in self-driving mode. Got on the highway, put it at 80 miles per hour and put it in driving mode. I obliged for a little bit, but I'm like, you know what? I would never. Why would I put my own natural wisdom on the side and trust that some calculation someone is going to put me in this device on the highway at 80 miles an hour, and I'm going to just sit and fold my arms and go to sleep? Why? A car is supposed to be driven, Oana. Otherwise, just don't put the steering there then. What would I mean? It's making us lazier. Up to a point, people will not know how to drive cars anymore because you don't have to drive cars. Imagine how many of us know how to drive stick shifts. Let's face it. Back in the day, you had to learn how to shift the gear to increase the speed and to decrease it and all that. You don't have to do that anymore. We are numbing ourselves down as a human race. And I think that this AI thing is a large part of that. It has its benefits. Everything is good for what it's good for. But we should be very careful not to be sucked into it to the point where, let me tell you something. Today, if internet knocked down and your phones didn't work, and the TVs and the computers didn't work, let's all think about that for a minute. Let us all think about that for a minute. Say, yes, sorry. Let me ask you again. Do you know who even owns and controls the internet? We don't. Just recently, I came to know how people actually buy bundles from where and or up to a certain point, and then I don't know who sells the bundle anymore. Right? So if that person vex one day, we say, you know what? Screw it, zip, no internet. How are we going to live our lives? I'm used to the fact that back in the day, I'll prepare myself to write a letter and wait for 2 months for my mother to read it. Now, I'm used to picking up a phone and say, hey, mom, how are you doing? Real time. If the person that controls that takes that away, yanks that from under our feet, AI, are we going to survive? Otherwise, what's our own response to that AI? Until we find that response, I feel like we should be very worried about falling in love with this so-called AI. But me personally, I may be biased because that's my money where they took. No, I eventually got my money back. But the thing they took me through Rasta. So I may be biased. But really and truly, I think, say, some of these things, yes, let's latch onto it, use it while it's useful for us and everything. But let's also be prepared to drop it if we have to and move on. Let's start thinking about growing our own food, for instance. Let's start thinking about seed banks, for instance. If you have seed banks, it's very hard for Monsanto or whoever else to penetrate us with GMO because you know what? We have seeds. But if we leave everything to chance and then they come and colonize the seeds, colonize everything else, give us AI, give us things that dictate how we live our life, and then one day we see that we are drunk on it, then they pull it from under our feet, we'll be miserable. That's the point I'm making, Rasta. Give thanks.
Kwesi, as far as I agree with you, also, we have to look at pros and cons of everything. And we have to look at how the thing can be useful to us and how it is detrimental to us. We have to look at both ends. And you know, I remember those days where excuse me.
But okay, just say we are digressing from the main topic. I think so. Or is AI the topic?
AI is part of the discussion.
Okay, good point. That's
Danny Bosco talked about it.
Sometimes when we put the topic down now, when we come, we've strayed so far from the original topic. It's incredible.
No, Danny Bosco raised the issue of AI. So it's part of the
AI came up. I think AI came up because it was in the presentation by Danny Bosco.
It was in the presentation, and he raised questions about it. So what I'm trying to say is I remember those 5 days, our youthful days in Rastafari. We denounced everything white man has made. We denounced everything. But today, look at where we are sitting, and we are using the same technology to have this discussion.
It's debatable though if it's purely white man's technology.
Well, let's just say AI. Where did it come from? Computers and things. You know, it could have been from us, but they advanced it. So we are talking about the technology. If it's totally detrimental to us, and we should stay away from it. So I'm saying, look at the internet, look at the phone, look at a whole lot of resources we have. To your point, I saw a documentary where some white boy was sitting there creating bombs, artificial bombs and aircraft, war weapons that, you know, he was promoting. So yes, those things are there. But if we don't know what they are doing and we don't know how to use these technologies, I think it will be detrimental to us too, because we have to know what's going on, how to use these things, so and use it to our advantage. So if somebody knows how to make bombs, let's also learn how to defuse the bombs using the same AI.
Olavanyo. They are serious gunsmiths. which I think say instead of say become channel, this is what we should actually be. Look, if you speak to some of the hunters in our rural areas, they'll tell you about how to create gunpowder from certain herbs. You see, it's there. When you talk about artificially, this is what I'm talking about. That's the natural intelligence we are endowed with, handed down. Oh, and we are chock full of that. Anyhow, I think so other people would like to speak, so let me just give thanks.
We should use all the tools available to us in the world, both the foreign ones and our local ones. That's my take. Learn how to farm, learn how to do alabanyo, everything in your village, and also learn how the advanced world is also operating.
Yes, we give thanks. So, any more questions, comments? Yes,
My last
all right.
is somebody coming on?
No, Empress, go ahead.
Okay. When we were speaking about His Majesty and democracy and whether military rule is good or what is good or bad, a thought came to my mind, and I think I should express it before I yield. Is that when we look at His Majesty's government, if I want to put it that way, it wasn't democracy, right? The Ethiopian system was not democracy. We had our kings and queens. That's the way of the Africans. So every time we want to copy how the Europeans do things, at a certain point, the imperialists insisted that Ethiopia should have a constitution. They should go away from the monarchy and blah 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 blah. You see, so once you start looking into their ways, then it changes how we operate as a people. So once His Majesty gave them a constitution, they started using the same constitution to fight against him, right? So all we need are good leaders, whichever way they come, by any means necessary. That's how I see things. Thank you. That's my last word.
Yes, sir. We give thanks. Give thanks for the reasoning. I don't know if there are more comments or questions to put forth. So we ask that if there are Russell Crowe and Empress, respect. Ras, is there anything you like to say following the reasoning? Russell Crowe and Empress. That's it. Yeah, so we're also live on Radio Culture. If hello. Well, if there are no further questions or comments, we'll invite the presenter to give his final remarks. Give thanks.
Daddy B, please, as you give your final remarks, can you rope in what efforts are being made to send a delegation to the presidency? Thank you.
Yes, Ras, Daddy B. It looks like currently we have exhausted all our questions and comments. So we'll invite you to give your your closing remarks. Give thanks.
I was asking what the Empress what she said. Like she's basically giving a story about the colonials and how we can follow their ways, when it comes to king and queen, Um, live topic. Greetings, Empress.
Greetings, Empress.
Yes, yes. Thank you. I have a question, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I came in on the call towards the end of your conversation. I wanted to really connect with you on what you said, but in order for me to move forward with the conversation, I need to know what you said. And please forgive me or pardon me for being late to the call as to why I even have to bring it up at this time. But what you said is very important, and I would like to inquire about this conversation that you made so that I can make sure I respond correctly.
Respect to you, Empress. And please, can you tell me specifically what point so that I can be able to speak onto it?
Okay, where I came in and I heard was that you said by any means necessary. So what was the conversation that brought about that?
Okay, we were looking at the influence of AI and how Rastafari should approach that, with regards to AI. Ras Kwesi said that I think he was cautioning us about some of the detrimental ways AI can affect us, um, and that is making us. I cannot elaborate everything he said, but he questioned us and a lot of the negativity that AI can bring to us. And so we went back and forth about that. And what I was saying is that when I said by any means necessary, I said we also have to learn every technology or every tool that we have in our modern life, use it alongside what we know by our traditional life so that we will not be left behind. For instance, we're using the computer, we're using Zoom, we're using all these resources to communicate and to advance things that we are doing. So I don't remember exactly what I said, but I said we have to use the means that we have in our modern life also to advance our cause by any means necessary. I
Can
think
I
that's
help
what I
small?
was saying.
Can I help small, Empress Adia? I think the point you made in relation to that was that our leaders were, His Majesty was not a democracy. His Majesty
Oh,
knew
Empress. Okay. Thank you, Rasquasi.
whichever
Thank
way
you.
our leaders come. I think that's the point you were making with that.
Thank you very much. So that was not to the AI. What I was saying was that, Empress, I was saying that when we talk about democracy, some of us are on the view and focus that we should be democratic. We should lean towards democracy. So, Empress, I was saying that His Majesty's government and in his era was not a democracy, it was a monarchy. It was a monarchy. We were ruled by kings and queens. And when the imperialists, which is one of our aim as Rastafari, is to fight against imperialism, which His Majesty did to a very 100% extent when they agitated and said the monarchy system should be abolished and they should have a constitution and so on and so forth. And His Majesty gave them a constitution. My point was that they used the same constitution to fight against His Majesty, to agitate for several things. So I'm saying that democracy is not necessarily something that we should embrace. We should go to our own ways as African people. So I think that's what I was saying.
Oh, thank you so much for the very clear response. It was very clear. Thank you so much to the king and to the queen, empress and emperor. Thank you for the response. I get it. I have to admit that the stance that you are taking and that our people are taking when it comes to taking back, what we know is original, or some may say aboriginal or indigenous or sovereign to, our people. We must embrace those things. We must keep them. We must remain in those things. And I totally agree with you on that. And thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for your clarification and, just enlightening me on what is happening. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Empress. Empress, and I also said in regards to today's Africans and our situation where we are, when we're looking at leadership, I said whether we came through the GAN or whether we came through democracy or the monarchy system, I think we're looking for good leaders. And that's why I said by any means necessary. Whoever comes in
Oh,
whichever way, if he's a good leader, and that's where we're leaning towards.
okay.
Muta Baruka said, by the ballot, by the bullet, by the gun, whichever way, freedom must come.
Mm, I get it. I get it. And I have to agree with you on that too, because at this point of life where we face War Three, unfortunately, I am a little, um, you know, touched by what is happening in my country. I'm from California, was born and raised there. And, this Trump, who's an immigrant, a German immigrant, wants to
Hmm,
call and tell people that they should go back to their country. Meanwhile, he himself is an immigrant. And I am
mhm,
the indigenous Black American, the copper tone tobacco indigenous American Indian. My ancestors are original from that place. And so for him to do that is such heartbreaking because, it's a situation where we face where we have to, use the same force that they're using in order to, move forward because they have come with guns. When they met my people, we had bow and arrows. We were in boats. We were hunters and gatherers. So when they came with guns, they were able to steal everything about us, our name, identity, legacy, heritage, land, resources, everything, and they labeled us as African Americans. But not everybody has that story. That's why I said my mom and my dad, both sides, are indigenous to America. So I have to take a stance and know who I am. That's who I am. I am that I am. And, with that being said, that is, what we all face today. We have to, take a stance and make it happen and move forward. So I agree with you that yeah, by any means necessary, because the ones that colonize Africa and America, we all have experienced it, witnessed it, and we know that it has affected each and every one of us.
mhm. Give thanks. We stand in solidarity with the native indigenous people of America. We have the same fight. So we stand in solidarity and we're
Thank
moving
you.
forward to the same goal.
Truly grateful. Truly grateful. All right. Thank you so much, Empress, for answering my
Mhm.
call.
You're welcome.
Enjoy the rest of the evening. I'm going to excuse myself and give the phone to my husband so that my emperor, so that I can take care of myself.
Thanks.
No problem. Here you go.
Can I ask something?
Yes, Ras, please.
Yeah. Mapse, Russ Martin. Mapse. Mapse did it.
Yes, Ras, I'm around.
Yes. So I know say you to think of some things where you go want make you go want draw attention to. Yeah, make you put on for our ears inside. What do you want make we think about on the topic?
I was not able to listen from the top, so I can't make contributions.
I can help you. I can help you. Basically, what we're doing was we're building up on the previous conversation. And so I said, as we're looking forward, in addition to those things I raised, like how do we address youth development, health, community development, science and technology, etc. How are we moving forward in the face of something like AI, issues like indigenous knowledge and technology? I position on Pan-Africanism and anti-colonial or neo-colonial politics. So there's been various views shared about, particularly, I realize that artificial intelligence is one of the things that is dominated. And I actually asked Professor Wiro how his students use AI and what you call it. Ja Beloved also shared a personal experience where AI had misled him. And Ancient or Seven Fireside said something like it's an approximation of I ancient spirituality, and AI is what we be. So there's pros and cons of AI, and then we also spoke about cannabis. Yeah.
Okay. Cannabis, yes. What did you say on the cannabis?
Yeah, we spoke about cannabis.
Yeah.
And then the need to continue advocacy aligned with like-minded people, because we can't go it alone. And then how can we also tap into the hemp economy? So these are some of the things. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much. With regard to what you just said, what other we have with either RCG in other countries, especially those in Jamaica, RCG in if there is some in America, do we have alliances like that? Do we have affiliations with the other RCGs?
So what it is the Rastafari Council Ghana is a homegrown initiative. Yes, there are similarities elsewhere in Africa and globally. And yes, we're in relationships with, for instance, we're part of the Rastafari Continental Council, and we have what you call it, a memorandum of understanding with the Caribbean Rastafari organization. We're in contact with the Rastafari Mansions organization in Jamaica, and similar organization in North America as well. Yeah.
Okay. Very well. Very well. So in terms of the affiliations, how often do we meet? RCG International, how often do we meet? Is there like an annual program where we come together to do something?
So the last Rastafari Continental Council gathering was in Ghana, in the Volta region, Leati Wati. Subsequent to that, we should have held one in South Africa last year, but it couldn't come through, and it was rescheduled to this year. It was supposed to have been in May, but it didn't come through either. And so the brethren in Nigeria are actually indicating that they will host it. And so we're awaiting feedback from that end. Give thanks.
Okay, very well. Then, question back, that time we talked about the Burning Spear Foundation. How many foundations do we have within our reggae industry? If there is Benny T.S. Foundation, is there Bob Marley Foundation, other foundations? How many of them do we have? How many have been written to? Things like that.
Yeah. Was that question for me or still for?
Yeah, anybody at all can take it
Okay,
up because
I'll just say something. I think so. There's a lot of foundations. There's a lot.
I think Seven
just,
Fire about linking up people with money, people who can finance projects, and I want to see what we are doing on that. And I think that it's linked to if we can get the Benin Sphere Foundation to back our project or whatever foundation there is to back our project, it will be fine. And if we are going to our brothers for money, it will be easier than going to some other people for money.
Yep. But to answer your question, though, there are some foundations out there. Most of the famous artists want to have some foundation or the next to their name, right? And not just artists, athletes, even politicians. Well-meaning politicians who are not, and I think it's about time that we stop seeing politicians as all corrupt, because the NSA will not go anywhere. We need to find people who, here in America, there are some politicians that you can identify, say, if it wasn't for them, even the small little freedoms that we enjoy as Black people would be heavily eroded, especially in times like this, So we have to reach out to people like that. But yes, to briefly answer your question, there are some foundations out there that I think we can definitely reach out to.
So we have reached out to some already, or we are yet to reach out to them?
I don't know if we have. I will leave that for.
We are yet to.
We are yet to. Okay. All right. Then I think that just one thing. I think that Sadia said something about the AI being a white man thing. I know that the first person to make a computer talk to a computer to computer communication was a Nigerian. It wasn't a white man. It was Philip Miguali. Was the first person to make a superconductor, supercomputers, that is to make a computer communicate with a computer. That brought about the internet. So it's our thing. It is our thing. It is not white man thing. It is the companies like Facebook, Twitter, and co that belong to the white people. I think the technology behind it was created by a Black person, a Nigerian, Philip Miguali. And if you talk about CCTV, I think it's a Black woman in America. Fiber optics, I think Dr. Usu, he was in Ghana, he interviewed by Captain Smart some time ago. He created fiber optics. So I think it's our thing. It's not white man thing.
Yes. Yeah. I agree with you 100%. I didn't articulate what I was trying to say properly, but you are right. And we also have to make it common knowledge, especially in Ghana and in African continent, for that information must be known. We have to make, because usually we feel like we didn't contribute anything and everything is a white man that made it. So yes, I agree with you 100%. It's our thing. So why should we not use it?
NDC Rasta Caucus, greetings. It will be good to hear your thoughts on the way forward for Rastafari within the context of all that we have discussed. Give thanks.
And NDC Rasta Caucus, I think you should. I just wanted to make a quick point to say a lot of the things we discuss here, we kind of assume that the leadership will do it, So, meanwhile, we should all acknowledge that they are volunteering, basically. They also have the same volume of hustle that we have to deal with. So I think, that you should delegate some of these things, right? Like we've talked about. That's right now. Say I posed the question, and then we said we are about to. It's very possible that we meet here in another 2 weeks and say, "Oh, have we done anything about this?" And it would not have been done. So things like this, please make a point to delegate things to people, so that we'll have some work done. Because it's too much work for just you and the small team that you're working with. Every time there are ideas, every time we need the ideas that we want to push forward, and we download them onto you. Oh, yeah, they will do it. Oh, yeah, go do this. Go look for money. Go do this. Go check the land. You know, I think you should delegate some of the things. Thank you very much. And I was also saying that NDC, because if you're going to come in now, please tell us what efforts you are making. Because I think you can spearhead the effort to meet the presidency. I think you should be in the thick of that. You should help with that.
Yeah.
And also, what efforts are being made to bring the cannabis issue front and center before your party, which is now in government. Give thanks.
Yeah, but just to add something before the Rasta caucus coming, I think we should be taking advantage of the Rasta caucus. You know, we should take advantage of them. Are we giving them some work to do, or we are just sitting now looking at them? Because I think they have contact with NDC, but we should be giving them some work to do for us. We should find something for them to do, push them. I mean, with something, give them something to do, like what Kwesi is saying. We have to, if we want to meet the president, they can create a path for us to meet the president. Other things. So I think we should take advantage of the Rasta caucus, not the other way around. That's what I think. Thank you very much, Daddy Bosco and Kwesi Anochi, for bringing me in. Thank you so much. Yes.
Give thanks, caucus.
Yes, give thanks and blessed act of love to one and all. Yeah. Yes, about the cannabis, I'm still on it. And it's two-way order. Actually, we have cannabis and we also have hemp. And the hemp that is legalized, but the license was not given. And the cannabis also is different from the hemp. So the last time we need a lot of sponsors, a lot of, interpretation, and we need to go grounds to see the chiefs and communities and all that, you know. So, yeah, we are working on it still. So, as I discussed with President Kess, he also tell me his side of the story with the empire, how it became. But yes, still, you know, we all have to come one, and to move forward. Other than that, it's going to be difficult. And also, after this being legalized, which is the aim, then the person who brought the idea and the person who want to do what, who want to implement it to give the land, it tend over fighting over a leadership, like everybody claiming like he is the supreme and this and that. That makes things pause. But I think that is during the previous government, and I'm working on this current government. But all what they told me, I should have a patience, because we also go on the grounds with this old thing. And actually, they wanted to give us some work to do, like stop the red and things. So we're working on things. What I would say is that let's be patient. You know, government implementation moves slowly, but at the end of it, it becomes the success, you know. So I would thanks for that. Not that I'm sleeping, but I'm working over it, and you will hear from me soon. Yeah. Because I meet whoever I will meet. I meet the Deputy Interior Minister. I also spoke with the Greater Accra Regional Minister. Actually, he's not in the country. When he comes, we will also meet again, and then you see it, because I want him to meet all the mansions of Rastafari, so that he can hear from various mansions, but not only the Rasta caucus, you know. We will just affiliate and help them to come to the government, so that our people will be free from certain things that never go on well for us. Yes, give thanks to one and all. Yeah.
Give thanks, King.
Yeah, just one quick thing. Why don't you connect the minister to RCG instead of the mansions of Rastafari? Because that one is like a divided front. But RCG stands for all of that. Why not RCG, but the Mansions of Rastafari?
Well, freedom of association. I think RCC also is an organization. Rasta Caucus also is an organization, and Bobo Shanti. You see, so we have to make a collective groups, and now the leaders we have to come together and know what to when we move forward. Seeing because if they're going to call, they won't call me alone. They will make I bring all my people on board. You get it. And when you remove someone from it, it's going to be a problem. And this is what sometimes makes our things never go forward. You see it. Yeah.
Yes, Ras. Caucus. We have a letter in response to the new the request to have people get license. RCG, the advocacy committee, wrote a letter to I think the NACO boss. And so if you can join the team like Daddy Beast, or the presentation is highlighting on doing collaborative work when it comes to the cannabis advocacy. Maybe the caucus will join the chairman of the advocacy committee and the members to present the letter to the said boss. I'm sure you get a copy of the letter so that in that collaborative manner we can at least meet some people who matter and put the Rasta position on cannabis on the table, because it looks like some of the decision making about cannabis doesn't really factor in what the Rasta man is saying or has been saying all this while. So if you can join the advocacy committee to visit some of these offices as a common front, I think that will help. So let's know if it's possible. Give thanks.
Yes, it will be possible. I'm there for the item every time when you call. Yeah. Because not only the interior minister I'm working out through, but I'm working out the chief of staff himself, because I have to pick it from the top before this message goes So patient because they know what I done for them, and they know and we'll see what will happen. Give thanks.
Respect, Ras. At this stage, if we have exhausted all questions, we invite Daddy B to give us his closing remarks. Give thanks.
Yes, I give thanks, beloved. It's been an exciting session listening to the views. And what stands out is the issue of technology, particularly how I relate to artificial intelligence. Also, the issue of how we're going to progress as a Pan-African people. Should it be exclusively Black? And I like the question that Ja Beloved asked, because these are the issues I and as a people will be confronted with going forward. And then cannabis and hemp. I give thanks for what the NDC Rasta said, and I trust the Advocacy Commission will deal with them. When it comes to correspondence with foundations like the Burning Spear Foundation, in order to raise funds to deal with the things we have to do, it goes to a question Royal Moses asked at the beginning. Our brethren and sisters in the diaspora, how can they deploy their skills and knowledge to further the work of the council? And I believe that ones and ones like Jah Beloved can come up with a directory of these foundations. Of course, the Empress and Seven Fireside then can also contribute whatever information they have on international foundations and grant-making organizations. And then we'll also look on the local front. All these can be done effectively if I delegate well and there's participation. So I strongly believe that Royal Moses, our administrators, taking some notes and will be able to come up with some form of action plan based on some of the things that were said, particularly in the area of fundraising and cannabis advocacy and entrepreneurship. Finally, I'd like to encourage ones and ones to look at artificial intelligence, that is AI, within the lenses of what His Majesty said, that I should take advantage of the benefits of a modern civilization. So I believe there's the need for an ethical AI development grounded in Rastafari and African values, which will ensure that I community can engage with it meaningfully, because in certain cases, when you address the ethical issues, it can be a tool for enhanced productivity. So, brethren and sisters, give thanks for your kind attention and let the reasoning continue. INA is the trailblazers and torchbearers of Rastafari. I believe 100 years from today, when we're no more, these sessions will be some of the building blocks on which our faith will be anchored. Give thanks, Rastafari.
Give thanks, my Lord, for the presentation. We have exhausted the second quarter of this year, and we have the third quarter, and so we have schedules that we will share on the education committee platform on the dates that the reasonings will take place. We will please ask of our presenters to give us some topics and also indicate the availability on the scheduled date, so that we can develop a calendar for the third quarter and share it ahead of time. For these few words, we give thanks for the reasoning for each and everyone's participation. So we'll continue the reasoning next 2 weeks. Give thanks, my lords and empresses.
Thanks, right?
Rastafari.
Kofi Rastafari.